This is Support is Sexy, episode 326. Today we're going to talk about how to go from consumer to creator. Welcome to Support is Sexy. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I interview inspiring women entrepreneurs who share their wins and their lessons to help you take your business and your life to the next level and create something sexy. Here we go. Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm happy to have you here. It just would not be the same without you. And today, as I mentioned in the intro, I want to talk about going from consumer to creator. If you're like me, you probably have taken every class, every webinar, done all of the online trainings, all the things that we do to learn more about whatever our business is. For me, it's an online business, an online platform. For you, it might be a brick and mortar business or something else. But you're doing the research, you're reading the book, you're listening to podcasts. Thank you. I'm happy to have you here. You're doing all of these things to consume information that will make you smarter and better, more aware, and help you understand your business better, which is all great. It's excellent to do. It's necessary. And it's something to do ongoing, right? It's something that never stops with business and in personal development. I believe that as well. There's always another great book to read. There's always another great video to watch, things to keep you going and growing, if you will. The thing is, you have to get to a point where you transition from consumer to creator. And that was something I realized for myself, I will say in the past year. Obviously, I created a podcast and I've created some other things. But there was a period where I was just consuming. And in the beginning of whatever you're starting, you might be like that. You might be creating little things along the way and consuming more because, hey, you're learning, you're trying to figure it out. But don't get stalled in the consuming phase where you're just listening to the podcast, you're just reading the books, you're just taking in the videos and other information, and you're not creating anything. And I had to do this for myself most recently with my book proposal. If you all have been listening for a while, you know I finally completed my book proposal. I'm working with an agent now. I'm super excited about it. But it took me a while to actually finish it. Well, one, because of fear. I wanted it to be perfect, of course. I fully admit that. But then I was also doing all of the research and consuming and looking at other proposals or other things that were out there to help me do it. I had to get to the point where I sat down and I just did it, knowing that it wasn't going to be perfect. It wasn't going to be exactly right. I had the models in place and the information that I consumed was definitely helpful, but I had to get to a point where I just moved forward and did it, knowing too that I wasn't putting it out in the world as far as I wasn't writing the book and just putting it up and putting it out, which nothing wrong with that. But you always get a book edited. You always get some kind of feedback usually before you put it out there. So the fear wasn't even a realistic fear. I was creating this book proposal and sending it to agents who would give me feedback. Now, there's, of course, the opportunity for rejection, but hey, at least I'm further ahead than I was if I hadn't written anything, and it would have been killing me actually inside to not have my book out there, not have that proposal out there first, and eventually the book, which is coming, right? Keep that energy for me. The book is coming. But here are some ideas for you of how to go from consumer to creator. First, think about the one thing. You've heard me talk about this before. It's one of my favorite books, The One Thing. The one thing is that thing that you can do that could potentially make everything else easier or unnecessary. That's what it says in the book. If you're thinking about it, what's the one thing that you can do that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? Start there. What is that one goal? And we're actually doing this now in the 90 Days to Next Level challenge that everyone is joining and becoming a part of, and we're working together to move each other forward. If you're interested in that, by the way, it's not too late to sign up. 90daystonextlevel.com. Number 90daystonextlevel.com. I just had to mention that. We're already down the road, but if you still want to join, I'll give you a few more days. Now, as I mentioned, in that group, and for all of us, we're focusing on that one thing for now. And of course, you'll have a new one thing once you accomplish this thing. But what's the one thing? Sometimes we get overwhelmed by all the goals that we have. And I've done this. I have many goals. I have the vision board. I have all of those things. But then you have to scale it back. What's the thing that you're going to focus on in order to move yourself forward? For me, the proposal, that was the one thing that I had to focus on that will make everything else easier. Maybe some things unnecessary, I don't know yet. But the thing that will be easier is, hey, getting a book deal. Now I have a proposal, writing that book because I have the proposal. So what's the one thing for you that you can create or try based on what you've learned? So we're not saying that the information that you consumed is worth nothing, right? You're going to use that information, but you're going to use it to create something. The next piece of advice, I would say write a list of must-do things to accomplish that goal. Something else we're doing in our group. What are 5 steps? Give yourself 5 steps that you can do starting right now in order to accomplish the goal. Not to say you're doing them all at the same time, but what are 5 things that you know of right now based on what you've learned? You can only do what you know, right? You don't know what you don't know. So start with what you do know and write down 5 things that you can do right now to help you accomplish that goal. Not things to help you get busy with to-dos. We want you to do must-dos. What are things you feel like you must do in order to accomplish that goal? Again, going back to the book proposal, one of my must-dos was to sit down and write it. Another must-do was to do research. When I gave in the first version of the proposal, I got great feedback, and it was an idea to add more research, which I did. I had a lot of my opinion in there, but then I did a lot of research, and it actually helped the proposal and me know how urgent this need for support is for a lot of us as women. And you'll see more of that when the book comes out. But I've really been talking about it a lot more. I understand it a lot better. Women, we're facing such stressful times with career, family, all of the things that we're juggling and trying to seem perfect in doing so. So as a result, unfortunately, a lot of us end up depressed and in situations where we might have self-destructive behavior. So all of this came from that feedback, doing more research. That was one of my must-dos, doing more research and adding that into the proposal. But again, that was something that I didn't think of doing for that stage. Of course, I would have done it for the book, but I didn't think of adding all of that into the proposal. So I did that. I got the feedback. Then it became a must-do. So that's the thing. You don't know, or you might not think about some of these other things until you put the work out there, get the feedback from people that you trust, and then you can make it better and better. But you have to get that one thing and get the steps that you're going to take to move forward. The next idea, develop habits that push you to show up every single day. Now, this is something that I did with the proposal, of course, but also with the Support is Sexy podcast. When I had the idea to do this, I decided how I was going to do it, meaning the format, speaking to fabulous women entrepreneurs all around the world, going to do it 5 days a week as opposed to 7 or 1 day a week. I came up with the strategy, what I was going to do, and then I created sort of a framework for myself to make sure I show up every single day. Now, this isn't saying that whatever you do, podcasts or etc., it has to be something you do every day or publish every day. But how can you create a space or a framework for yourself where you have to show up? So if it's deadlines, accountability, of course, you can get support. Support always helps. But what can you do to make sure that you show up for yourself and for this project every single day in some way? So is it research that you're going to do? Is it writing? Is it broadcast? Is it the podcast? Is it going out and doing some kind of research? Is it taking a survey of your potential customer? What are the things that you can do to make sure you show up every day for whatever you're creating? If you're working on a project, a writing project, how can you make sure that you write every day? Is it every morning before you go into your full-time job? Whatever it is, put some framework in place for you to make sure you commit to it every day. One, it helps you get things accomplished doing it bit by bit, but also, let's just say it, the universe likes to see you in action. It will respond. It will meet you halfway. I fully believe that. Not to get too woo-woo. Actually, we're getting a little woo-woo, and that's okay because we believe the universe meets you halfway. So what you have to do is get up and get moving. How can you get moving and be in action every day? And I always say there's learning in action. So if you're moving and doing things, even if it's imperfectly, which it will be, none of us are perfect. It's all an illusion. If you're moving, doing things, learning along the way comes as you're in action. There are things you cannot possibly know if you're not doing it, even if you hear it from someone else. Of course, you get great advice from other people. I got great advice about podcasting and being part of great podcasting groups. There are things that you just have to do and experience because everyone's journey is different. Everyone can give you heads up or things that they think might go wrong, might go right, how you could do it. That's all excellent in your consumer phase. But as a creator, there are things that only a creator can know, right? There are things that only a creator can know because a creator is doing. And the last thing I'll say to go from consumer to creator, make sure you focus. And I've heard this acronym used for the word focus, FOCUS, obviously. Follow one course until success. So this is a way to focus when you're talking about your goal, when you're talking about whatever you're going to do, that's your one thing. How can you focus on that before you move on to something else? Again, we all have tons of goals and things we want to accomplish. Sometimes we overwhelm ourselves with our beautiful ideas. We have wonderful ideas and we just want to do everything. Okay. All of this is the vision, the grand vision of things you want to do down the line, whether that's immediate or 20 years from now. That's the big vision. How can you scale that down to what your one thing is right now, and then break that down to your goals, then create the framework to accomplish those goals, and then focus on that course until success. Get hyper focused on it. I always talk about being obsessed with the success of that thing. Also, make sure you have something measurable so you know what success looks like. Don't make your goal very vague. I just want to do whatever your project is. No, what does success look like? Is it by a number? Is it by a certain day you want to open your shop? Is it by a certain day you want to submit that proposal? What does it look like? I gave myself deadlines and then I focused until I reached that deadline. And hey, if you miss a deadline, recommit, make a new one. Don't miss it on purpose. You want to try to meet it. But hey, things happen. If you miss it, recommit. Don't give up and say, oh, well, I missed it. I said I was going to do it and I didn't. Well, you're giving up on yourself. You have to show up for yourself. So those are the ways that I suggest that you can begin to go from a consumer to a creator. And again, this is just my experience that I'm sharing. Your journey is going to be different. Some of it might be the same, but it will be different because it's you. But get started. Don't get stuck in the consumer phase. As I said, I have been there. And another example before I go, webinars. I've been researching webinars, I feel like, for years. I've taken courses. I've looked at how other people have done it. I just have to do it. So that's one of my 90-day goals, to do a webinar before the end of the year. So you'll be hearing more about that. Go through that journey with me. I have to know it won't be perfect, that it's learning in action, and I have to remember what my intention is. And that's the thing that keeps you going when things don't go right. What is your intention? How are you serving people? That's what I think about. What kind of service is this bringing to people? What is my goal as far as service? Not as far as making money or getting a certain number or anything like that. All of that will be a byproduct of the work and the intention. What is the intention? What are you doing? How are you serving? All right, so hopefully this is helpful and you're ready to get out there and start creating. Let me know if you have any questions, ideas, what you think on social media at Elayne Fluker and at Support is Sexy. I would love to hear from you. Also, if you haven't already, please write a review of the podcast wherever you're listening. It takes maybe 2 minutes, maybe 2.5, no time at all, really. Please leave us a review. Let me know what you think. I would love a 5-star review, as I always say, but any feedback is appreciated. So far, we actually have, I believe, 63 or 64, maybe 5-star reviews. So I'm so grateful. Let me say that first. I am so grateful to you all, anyone who has left even one word in a review. I appreciate you. Just know that it's not going unseen. I'm seeing them. I'm reading them each week now. I have to make sure I do that tomorrow, right, for tomorrow's episode. But thank you so much for your feedback. It means the world to me to know that the show is impacting you, that the women are inspiring you, and that you're getting something from it. So thank you for all of the reviews that you've left. All right, so thank you again. I appreciate you. Until next time, you know what to do. Go out there and create something sexy, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.